That's on number 28.
As long as we got a quorum.
All right, like call this meeting back to order. It's now 21 minutes after the hour. Sorry for getting started a little late. We're waiting on some commissioners to show up. All right, let's go back on this. I've gotten some legal advice on a couple things. Public comment. Come on up. We got 1, 2, 3 public comments.
Rex Flowers, Washoe County. We didn't take this up at our board, so I'm going to just speak personally. I see stuff in here, just reading it for the first time, it makes no sense. I mean, you make comments here like Hage's Table Mountain. He doesn't own that mountain. This thing here, I have a problem in that you have it as an action item, and today is when you come out with this resolution. You have not given the public any notice of what you're doing. And I have a real problem with that. I mean, you want the input from the cats, and you want the input from the public, and yet you don't give them the materials to work with. We can't do our part if you don't do yours first. Thank you.
Thank you. Candido, and then we have Dr. Moulding.
I will let Candido Mendive, I'll be speaking for myself because this was not sent to us. I also have some real heartburn with several items in here and would wish that you would put it to the cabs for public input. Thank you.
Cool. Dr. Moldy, welcome back up, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Don Moldy, Reno, a couple, three things. One, this resolution looks like possible unauthorized use of quasi-legal language.
Those two items on here that the council was mentioning about that, and so
yeah, it looks like it's written by somebody who thinks they're as smart as the lawyer, but probably aren't. And I know a lot of doctors who think that way too, right? And they run into trouble in court whenever they try to do that. But nonetheless, I'm joking, of course, but I was hoping for perhaps a concise legal explanation of all of this, just for history's sake, because all I remember of this is that it was some kind of a takings issue that went to courts, dragged on for years. Wherever it resides now, the ruling went against the feds. The feds are appealing it, I gather, and it still must be the same issue. But I don't know, maybe after all this, neither of the two attorneys here can give us a little summary view of it, but if you can, it might be of interest. The other thing I would say is that I am a fan of NRDC. I contribute to them whenever I can. Took a nice trip to Africa one time with one of their attorneys that works on grazing issues, protecting the public interest on public lands regarding grazing issues. So if you'd allow me some time, I'd like to take off on the NRA, but I don't suppose you would. So I'll pass.
You got another minute.
Thank you.
I'll pass.
Further public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public hearing on this matter. We've had a little bit of advice from came out of the Deputy Attorney General's office. On the first page, he humbly suggested that the second to last paragraph on the first page be stricken. That in the last paragraph on the first page, that where the name Joseph Feller, a senior attorney, be stricken. So therefore, to be read Department of Wildlife by on behalf of the Nevada Department of Wildlife by the Nevada Wildlife Federation. National Wildlife Federation, excuse me. And I think he was, of course, strictly speaking from a legal perspective. And then also on the second page, it was the third whereas, so that would probably be unwise. I think his language might have been slightly stronger than that. The third whereas on the second page.
Okay.
What was the one on the second page?
The second page, the third whereas, where it begins, whereas the amicus brief
Cross
argues. He suggested we should probably strike that one. And
The whole,
third whereas, the one that says arguably contrary to Nevada's constitution, laws, and court decisions.
okay, so we strike the whole thing?
That was the advice of counsel.
Okay.
Also, on the, would be two down from that, the longest of these paragraphs where it begins, whereas Nevada Department of Wildlife, actually it should be the Nevada Department of Wildlife worked in concert. On that one, if we could end it after Table Mountain allotment, put a period after allotment. He was worried about some liability issues with continuing that to include apparently without notice or hearing as required by law.
I did too, because I don't know if that was true or
Well,
false.
and there was probably some legitimate things, but you know, this is an more all-inclusive, I don't know, might not be strong enough, some people might not think, it's hard to say. So, I'm done. Commissioner Shrum.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Shrum, Commissioner Howell, and then we'll come back around.
Mr. Chairman, I've taken time to read this and look at it, and having done, in the last few months, doing some research on the BLM and their various activities, I've been cautioned now to be careful in what I say. I might inflame someone or be headed for court or whatever, but anyway, it's not my intention to give anyone heartburn, but like I said, I've done a lot of reading on the BLM, and I just believe that what we have here, even though possibly the cabs haven't a chance to provide any input, I think that this is not strong enough. We should rework it, come back to something stronger, and give the cabs time to go ahead and with their input too, possibly. That's all.
Okay, Commissioner Howell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You did already put a period after allotment.
Yeah, and then
I
strike
heard
the rest.
some testimony that it said Hage's Table Mountain. It doesn't say Hage's Table Mountain. It says Hage's Table Mountain allotment. Nobody's alluding to the fact that he owned Table Mountain. Before we're done, I couldn't go fast enough. You were reading way too fast for this old man, so I didn't get it all.
All right.
I'm making it.
Oh, wait a minute. I got maybe, Hank's gonna help me out here. He's a lot younger than I am.
Want to go on while he's reading?
Yeah, go ahead, Vice Chairman.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I agree. Those are some of the problems I had with. And then, but when at the bottom of it, it's not, you don't say Scott Raine Chairman, you say Scott Raine Chairman, Board of Wildlife Commission. It should be
Yep,
more appropriate.
absolutely.
But other than that, with those changes you made, those are the exact ones that I had. Because I'm not into that where there was no hearing when they planted the elk on Table Mountain. I just, too far back me to go back and remember if that was the case, so I'm glad we struck that out. But otherwise, it looks good to me.
Okay, Commissioner Vogler.
The judge in Las Vegas, my understanding is when he reopened this up, it was not based on whether or not the NEPA process was correct on Table Mountain. That issue has already been solved. And he said that there was a taking. He is trying to come up with a dollar figure of the extent of that taking. And I read his stuff, and I'm not a lawyer, don't play one on TV. He merely asked both sides so he could come up with a dollar figure for what the takings issue was, because it's already been established that there was a taking. Whether it involves the elk or not, that issue's solved. All this brief is designed to do, or all this contest is designed so that judge can decide, did they have a right to graze their livestock on that ranch by their permits, by what they had, more than the 50-foot right-of-ways of the ditches and around the springs. If you're a rancher, the logistics of fencing up a 50-foot right-of-way along a stream wouldn't help wildlife either. But they don't do that. Wildlife has never, Hages didn't go out and when they put the elk on Table Mountain and shoot them all. They're still there. They're more there than when they originally put them there. They're a thriving herd. All these things were done. That's not even in question. That's why when the cattlemen and all the people that in my industry that I represent here today were so upset is all those issues have been solved. The only issue that judge wants to address is how far will a cow or a sheep or domestic horse go from water? How much of that water and grass would be incorporated into those allotments, into those permits, to determine the takings? And I cannot, as being involved in rangeland ranching my whole life, and many, many, many more people from all walks of life, or all ranching communities in this state, same thing. What in the world are you guys doing getting into this when all this has to do is with establishing whether the takings is 50-foot right away on these ditches or to the edge of the allotment? And that's it. And that's why I'm packing water today for the ranching community. These other folks, however they feel, Mr. Howell, Mr. Shrum, or anybody, this is not a conspiracy, nor a conspiracy on my part, but there's a lot of people that see this as proof positive that Nevada Department of Wildlife does not want to cooperate with agriculture. And it's a sad, sad deal for them, because there's going to have to be a bunch of fence mending to get projects like allowing more elk up in some of those areas that could all of a sudden have an 8-9 foot fence on them that would restrict more than elk. I mean, there's just some, the timing is everything, and the timing on this was ugly. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner McBeth, go ahead. Oh, you missed a couple of things. Maybe I should go over what our on behalf of council was struck. That'd be the first page. Oh, actually, if you want to look at
one of them.
Look at his version there.
This is scratched. This is scratched. This is scratched. And then they were going to change Mr. Raine's title. And this is scratched.
It was on advice of council. It was a couple things. Okay. No, good.
Thank you, Chairman Raines. Well, first of all, I'm for the reasons mentioned by Commissioner Shrum. I can't support this, because this is just another example of this commission putting an agenda item on there, an action item, and then coming to the meeting with a document that obviously existed before the meeting. And so I would need more time. Plus, I believe that it should go back to the cabs for comment and input. But beyond that, I was curious on the 7th whereas, at that last phrase, it says, without the authorization or knowledge of the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners. I'm just curious how you know that that's true.
This one happened the 14th of this year. Did this board know about it, hear about it, see about it?
No.
I've been here.
The amicus status of the department was well before this commission's time, and so the decision, as explained to us, was that this has a long history, that the department has been involved in this for a very long period of time, and that the amicus status was filed. So what you're saying is that the brief itself. Mm-hmm. I guess that raises the issue: is this an operational item of the department, something that they're just doing, and is it really anything that this commission should be talking about? So anyway.
Okay, we have Commissioner Cavan, Commissioner Capurro, and then Commissioner Wallace.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Over the history of me attending commission meetings and being active in wildlife over the last 35 years, when an item like this came before the commission without having public notice, without going to the game boards, I would be one of the people in the audience standing up and jumping up and down. So just because I'm a commissioner doesn't change my view on that. So I don't think we should act on this today. I think it should go back to the cabs and then back to the commission for a final review.
All right, we had Commissioner
I think you're up, Darrell.
Pearl and then Commissioner Wallace.
Okay, with respect to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the seventh whereas, where we were actually talking about here before, seems to me like we probably should remove in the next to the last line, without, instead of saying without the authorization, we should remove the authorization and just simply say without knowledge, the knowledge of the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners.
Why would we remove authorization? Does that mean?
They don't have any authority to
Authorize it.
A lot of the point is a lot of the flack that we've been getting is why did we authorize this? And just to make it abundantly clear, it's not, and hey, it's maybe not our place, likely.
I think you have that by simply saying without the knowledge of the commission. But we have no authority to do that, so I'd be a little nervous myself about that.
Okay, that's an option there. Commissioner Wallace, you're up.
Mr. Chairman, we scratch that word then?
Not yet. It's an option.
Let's think about it. We can or can't. Depends on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Commissioner Cavan. Since everyone in the room just received this, I don't think that we can take action on this today. It needs to go back to the cabs. We all need to take it back home and read it and look at it and understand it more. And I think that's where we need to be with this.
Go ahead, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been around a long time, so has Commissioner Cavan, and I'm sure he'll recall many, many times the department does things that doesn't come back to the commission, and sometimes and the department does a lot of decisions on a lot of policies and things, and it doesn't go back to the county boards. If they want something overturned, it seems like they get to the county boards, but sometimes this commission has an item in front of them, and they've got to make a decision regardless of the county boards. I mean, county boards have a function, but not all the time is there time to do something because we don't have another commission meeting for months, and cabs aren't going to have meetings, and sometimes we've got to take action, and this doesn't have anything to do with game in the counties or anything like that. That primarily is what the major function of cabs are for. And this is a administrative procedure of the commission, and sometimes we got to just take action on the thing. We can't send it out and dance and let everybody review it. And there's no need to send it back out to the public and review it. And why can't we look at it? And we've got some good legal advice on changes. Why can't we look at it, make the changes, go on with it? Thank you.
I had a couple additional things on spelling of the word amicus in the title. In fact, intervention as that should be amicus. Strike the E and add U.S. in U.S. Court of Federal Claims. And then in the last couple paragraphs, there's one that begins with now therefore, and also the one that ends in furthermore on the second page. Amici, A-M-I-C-I should be A-M-I-C-U-S. That I should be struck, it should be U-S. So it's amicus as opposed to amici. The plural, it's the singular, not the plural. That does make sense. I start thinking about the Latin roots of it. And this is probably not strong enough for a lot of people, but it's one of these things. It's been a tremendous waste of time and effort, and it's amazing. You start reading these court decisions when you get federal court judges that are basically telling the Hages, you haven't gone far enough in your suits, and you should sue us for more, which is basically what their last 70-some-odd page thing. It was amazing to read that. That just doesn't happen, is what I'm told, and there it is. And I think this mentions in there, I believe it has the correct number of court decisions, several court decrees, and the Judicial Court and 8 published opinions of the U.S. Court of Federal Claims, all been upheld. So,
Mr. Chairman,
go ahead.
I'll make a motion and,
Can I interrupt
Sure.
the motion? I'd like to get an opinion from the AG about the discussion on the word, the authorization of, on the 7th whereas down.
What, do you have a specific question, or you just
Well,
want me to?
it was noted by Commissioner Capuro that we should strike that word. What's your opinion? Should we strike it or shouldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I prefer you strike it because the board doesn't have authority to authorize it, but I understand the argument that if people are asserting that the board authorized it and the board didn't, that you might want to put it in there, but I don't have a real strong legal basis to tell you to strike it or leave it in.
Well, I see it's part of the reason for this is.
It's part of that good taste standard.
Uh-huh. Well, I've never been accused of that.
Okay.
Mr. Raine, Dean's, that when I was informed of this, it was by an email from nobody from this commission. It was from other parties with a big old huge, what the heck's going on here? And why did you go along with this as a commissioner representing livestock? Boy, hit me from a blind side. So I guess I would ask the cabs.
did they know about it?
If you knew about it, were you informed of this? It seems, I certainly wasn't informed about it, and I thought, well, yeah, it probably goes back to the original filings or something, because there was those issues of health. But for goodness sakes, this was February 14th to February 12th of this year. We're signing up again when all those issues have been settled. It's a matter of what the compensation is. I want to distance myself from this amicus brief, and this is a good way to do it. No, it's not going to be the end of the world for anybody, but I would like to go on record that I do not agree with this, and I think out of courtesy, something this inflammatory should have been discussed with us, and it was not. So I asked the cabs again, did anybody in there know that there was going to be an amicus brief filed against a citizen of the state of Nevada, that were, some of those people were in this state prior to this state being a territory? Was anybody informed?
Mr. Chairman.
All right. The comment, and then we were back in the middle of.
I just want to know if any other commissioners received any of these emails. That was never put into the public record or anything. I didn't get anything. This is new to me today and the day that this came on the agenda. So it'd be nice to have that.
He didn't mean he got this in the email. He got
an email from someone else. That's what I'm saying.
And Mr. Wallace,
were you the only one that got it?
No.
I don't know.
Okay.
And having been on an issue with the tax commission that cost the state of Nevada about $9 million defending the tax commission on an open meeting law issue, when I get an email, I don't call anybody, I don't tell anybody, because it scares me to death that if I happen to do it and it went to 4 more commissioners, is that a violation of the open meeting law? And so I don't send emails on, I just receive them.
And it wouldn't be surprising that you'd be the only one that got that kind of email, because you're the rancher representative on the commission.
And
so it wasn't to keep you out of the loop or anybody else.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if it's important enough that we have this in front of us today, I would like to have seen it presented at the April meeting under correspondence or something like that.
Let me clarify. I heard about this issue. It's been out there. It came up. That's why we put it on the agenda. That's why we put it out to the county advisory boards so they comment on it. That's why we have public hearing on the matter today. That's why it's on the agenda, is because this item did come up. You know, this is not something that just came out of the blue. It's been agendized. It's been there. It's been on everybody's agenda. If they chose not to make comments or look at it, or, you know, what generally seems to happen is people like to criticize what somebody else has done after they've done it, but they're never going to come up with anything beforehand or any, it's like, hey, if you have a problem with it, great, bring it forward, tell us. I've heard a lot of people calling me up and asking me about this item. And it's basically the same thing. And the different ranching associations, the Cattlemen's Association, a couple people working with them, they're like, what are you people doing, and have you lost your gourd? That's the general context of it, and it goes into morning, like, what are you talking about? We didn't do nothing, man. It wasn't me syndrome shows up, and, we need to say, hey, did we think it's a great idea or not, or whatever. And we're in the middle of a motion, and please continue.
Mr. Chairman,
and
I'm gonna
rudely interrupted. I'm sorry.
I got this in email, and not knowing legally what this meant, but I made comments to the Attorney General for the department about this case a year ago, about when he got awarded some additional money on it, and it's been lingering. So I followed it a little bit, and I did have a email. I don't even remember where it came from, but I was familiar with it, and it did come out to, I assume, everybody. But I would like to make a motion, and I'm going to go through the corrected part here to make sure I have everything straight. In the title, on the second line, we're going to change the AMICI to AMICUS. This is more of my motion. And on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the eighth whereas from the top, eliminate it completely. And on the ninth whereas, we're going to eliminate the words Joseph Feller, comma, a senior attorney. 4. We're going to eliminate that. And on the next page, just give me a minute. 1, 2, on the third whereas, we're going to strike that, eliminate that completely. And on the fifth whereas, we're going to, on the second line, we're going to end at table mountain allotment period. We're going to strike apparently without notice or hearing as required by law, creating a potential liability for the department and taxpayers of the state of Nevada. That will be strucken. And on the next whereas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now therefore, I'm sorry, the last sentence, we're going to change AMICI to AMICUS. And on the next line, it starts furthermore. On the second line, we're going to change AMICI to AMICUS. And change the way the chairman signs his name. Put down Chairman, Board of Wildlife Commission.
Second. It's been properly moved and seconded to approve this resolution as read with changes. And, perhaps for the record, maybe I should read it, the whole thing. Everybody's had a chance, and then we'll have a chance to discuss it. Then we'll discuss the motion.
But proposed amendment to the motion.
All right. So let me read it so everybody knows what we're talking about here. It'll take just a second. Resolution of the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners against the Nevada Department of Wildlife's intervention as amicus in U.S. Court of Federal Claims case Hage versus U.S. Whereas, since the early explorers discovered Nevada, which they recorded as being virtually barren of wildlife, small and large game animals have grown, thrived in a symbiotic relationship with livestock as a direct result of ranchers' predator management and development of water sources for livestock, watering, and irrigation. Whereas the same
The only thing, you read into the record, large game animals, this says large game populations.
Large game populations, as presented, thank you. Please continue to watch me. Whereas the same historical laws, customs, and decisions of the courts which allowed the public access onto the public domain also encouraged the establishment by stockmen of possessory rights to the rangelands and water rights under the prior appropriation water doctrine. Whereas these pre-existing property rights are protected under Nevada's Constitution and laws as well as Fifth Amendment of the Constitution and predate by at least 40 years the establishment of either the U.S. Forest Service or the Bureau of Land Management. Whereas all land management laws enacted by Congress from the 1866 Mining Act up to and including the Federal Land Policy and Management Act of 1976 protect pre-existing property rights established by Nevada's early settlers and Hage's predecessors in interest. Whereas Hage's vested water rights and forage rights were upheld in several court decrees in the 5th Judicial District Court and in 8 published opinions at the U.S. Court of Federal Claims, whereas the actions of the U.S. Forest Service and Bureau of Land Management forced the Hage family to liquidate their cattle herd and shut down the ranching operation, and by extension, stop all pumping of stock water and or maintenance of watering sources having deleterious impact on the wildlife populations in Ralston and Monitor Valley. Whereas the Nevada Department of Wildlife has filed an amicus curiae brief in support of defendant appellant United States in Hage versus U.S., parenthesis number 2011-5001, dash 5013, end parentheses, before the United States Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit in support of reversal of the findings of the U.S. Court of Federal Claims without the authorization or knowledge of the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners. Whereas the above referenced amicus brief was drafted on behalf of the Nevada Department of Wildlife by the National Wildlife Federation, an organization with clear objectives that are often contrary to the well-being of Nevada's wildlife, Nevada's mining, Nevada oil, gas, geothermal, and mineral exploration, Nevada's ranch community, Nevada's farming community, and other sectors of Nevada's economy. Whereas the Natural Resources Defense Council, an organization that is known to be anti-hunting, anti-trapping, anti-ranching, anti-mineral, geothermal, and oil exploration throughout the West, is a co-amis with...
Amici, that should have an I.
Yes.
Instead of it.
Okay, amici, co-amici, is that okay with the maker of the motion, seconder of the motion?
Amici. Yes.
Yep. With the Nevada Department of Wildlife in this amicus curiae brief, whereas the amicus brief argues from a perspective that is clearly contrary to the best interests of Nevada's land, habitat, and wildlife. Whereas we, the members of the Board of Wildlife Commissioners, as officers of the state of Nevada, have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of this state to uphold the constitutions of the United States and Nevada, as well as the laws of this state. Whereas the Nevada Department of Wildlife worked in concert with U.S. Forest Service to transplant non-indigenous elk onto Hage's Table Mountain allotment. Now, therefore, for the reasons set forth above, it is hereby declared to be against the position...
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is hereby declared to be against the position of this commission and against the best interests of the wildlife of the state of Nevada for the Nevada Department of Wildlife to continue as amicus in Hage versus U.S. Furthermore, this commission urges the Nevada Department of Wildlife to immediately inform the court that the Nevada Department of Wildlife has withdrawn as amicus from Hage versus U.S. in parentheses in number .2011-5001, dash 5013 in parentheses, passed and adopted by the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners this day of May 2011. Scott Raine, Chairman, Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners. All right. As well as that's clear, we got read through. Mr. Capurro.
Yes, I propose to amend the motion by in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th whereas next to the last line by removing authorization or, so that it would read without the knowledge of the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners. For the reasons I mentioned before, if we don't have the, I understand the intent, but I think that's covered under the term, use of the term knowledge.
I'll second that motion, that amendment to the motion.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to amend the main motion to approve the document as read with striking that authorization or in the 7th whereas. Does everybody understand the motion to amend? The amendment to the motion. Would now be strictly voting on the amendment? Yes.
Can we have some, is this the time to have some discussion on this?
On the amendment or the main motion?
Main motion.
Let's work on the amendment, and then if that passes, fails, or otherwise, we'll have either more amendments or we'll go back. So let's go with all in favor of the amendment to the main motion, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, motion to amend passes. We have 6-2 with Wallace and Macbeth opposed. All right, now we have main motion on the floor as amended. Discussion, please. Further discussion.
I think it's disingenuous for this commission to state that this agenda item adequately disclosed what was going to be discussed here today. It basically says, Hage lawsuit updated resolution, Chairman Raine action, the commission will hear a report on the Hage lawsuit and may draft letters, resolutions, and/or policy concerning this item. Doesn't say anything about the amicus brief, and the way this is worded is very misleading in my opinion, because it says may draft letters. That seems to be a projection. In other words, that we're going to do that in the future. But what has happened here is this is just another example of a staged event, in my opinion. This has all been cookbooked by this commission and laid out well in advance of this commission meeting, and that now has just been, comes here to just ram it down everybody's throat. And so for that reason, I am voting absolutely, not to support any part of this. And, not only have I not had a chance to look into this, neither has any of the cabs or anybody else in the public. And so for that reason, I'd like our DAG, Commission DAG, to basically explain to me how we can move forward with this resolution.
As I've said many times before, the open meeting law requires that the public get the document at the same time as the commission, and you just admitted yourself you got it at the same time the public did. If you choose not to act on it for that reason, then you don't have to. But, to say this violates the open meeting law, I think is incorrect. The amicus brief was part of the Hage lawsuit, and so you can vote on this, and I would fully support it if you decide to take more time, and whatever the commission decides. But I don't think your characterization of this as violating the open meeting law is correct.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I take offense to the Commissioner of Las Vegas saying this was orchestrated in cookbook, and I saw it on the agenda. I saw it for the first time. I have not talked to anybody on this. This was not cookbook, and because something doesn't go a certain commissioner's way, they object and say we orchestrated it. This was not orchestrated. It was not cookbook. I never had talked to anybody about it. I made my decision today, and I think most of the commissioners did. And for somebody to assault this commission with those, I think is irresponsible. Thank you.
Thank you. And, I was fully anticipating that. I was hoping that every commissioner would have prepared some documents on this. I prepared a few notes. I think they might be sufficient, but, I'm disappointed that Mr. Macbeth didn't bring something. Everybody else didn't bring something forward, What did you have on this item? We'd like to have seen some documentation from every item. Cookbook is wrong. Anyways, everybody understand the motion as amended? All in favor of that motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion passes 5-3. Commissioners Macbeth, Wallace, and Cavan opposed, is that correct? Bells in favor? Let's move on. And that would be on to item number 26, Commission Policy number 28, Mule Deer Policy, second reading. And graciously, we've had some assistance from staff from Kim Dolly specifically, who helped make some changes in this. And we were presented with that just a short time ago.
I haven't.
Did everybody get the?
I passed out this document. It has
It's
the
probably
color
there.
And I have some in the back by the sign-in sheet.
Did everybody get a copy of the amended version?
I do know.
Okay. And it says at the top, in green, after first reading, 12 May 2011. Okay. And also, I'd like to, point out, actually, for the record, as far as, policies go, our policy on policies requires us to have 2 readings before adopting. Well, we're planning on actually having it on 3 separate days. Actually, you could probably do it all in 2 days, but, we've decided to spread these things out. And, that way we get the most input we can on it, and it gets looked over between for significant lengths of time. All right, I think she's trying to get that projected up on the screen so everybody in the audience can take a look at it.
Okay.
And this is just an informational item, and we'll have the action tomorrow, so we'll do public comment on it tomorrow. Does anybody have any further comment on it today? Further comment? Commissioner McBeth?
Just clarification on the 2 readings. Are the requirement for the 2 readings, is that in the, that's in our policy, right? Policy 1?
Yeah.
Okay, and so is it the understanding it'd just be 2 readings per, another, is it by meeting? Or is it just 2 readings by day?
No, when I first got on the commission, I know we did a lot of them, that we would do first reading one day, second reading the second day, followed by the vote right after. That was standard at that point in time. I've tried to adopt a different standard beyond that most of the time, trying to get those on 3 different days. We've done that like the other items. We've had them all on 3 different separate days. And it's like this one, 3 separate days, and rather than in 2 days. That's been the standard, but it's a policy, so. As long as we follow our policy. And I guess the commission could theoretically vote to break that policy, because we created the policy. Further discussion before, this is coming up. We discussed it a lot yesterday. We got us an action item tomorrow. Any from the commission? Commissioner Kevin, I'm sorry, I couldn't see your hand there beyond, raise them up high.
Take a minute to, on number 1, I thought we had changed shall to should.
Whereabouts?
On number 1, it says the Department of Wildlife shall. I had scratched out and had should.
Section 8.
I'm not sure where and then after the first sentence, the existing, starting with the existence of positions at NDOW, and on down to the very last line ending with requirements. I had requested that we remove that language, so I'll throw that out again.
Where's that?
What was that?
Number 1, the second sentence, I'll read the whole thing. Existence of positions within NDOW must be governed by what those positions do to sustain and enhance the population of animals. That is their funding source. If necessary, in accordance with state law, job descriptions may be changed and NDOW personnel retrained to meet job requirements. I had asked that that be stricken.
Okay, so as an option for tomorrow, we should have that.
If we could get that in italics or something that.
All right, as soon as it comes up here, we'll. Anything else we have?
I have a couple more.
Well,
If,
go down the list.
I've got a, you want to wait till she's up or?
No. She might,
Okay,
I think she's up now.
Yes.
Okay, down on item 1, if you can scan down. And if there's omissions, something, it's not her fault, it's my fault.
I don't know what's doing here.
Just take them out.
Just click.
Well, it's like highlighting everything.
Just get out. I agree with you, Marcia. Register. I thought we agreed.
There we go.
All right, that. Are we done?
Try
Number
escape.
one, right here.
Try escape.
Whoa, whoa.
I do.
Everyone has.
Back up.
Try
You're
hit escape.
escape.
Escape again. Escape, escape.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Go under review. And just,
Go under review. That's doing. How do I undo the highlighting?
Didn't write it down here.
Wait,
Put that.
wait, did I do it? Okay.
George, you're going short on do it.
Click in there.
thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. IT specialist.
Okay. Good job, Mike.
It took somebody smarter than all of us.
Yeah.
Word is my life.
What'd you do? What'd you
Let the record show that Brian saved us all.
No, I didn't really think Kim did it.
That's what we're talking about, right?
Yes, and then as in italics, or actually if you had brackets, those big brackets like we've had before.
Around the should?
No, go down to existence, the line below, down one line. Yeah, right there, and put brackets in front of that. And then right before the last line where it says the department policy, put the other end of the bracket. And how else should we designate? Maybe put that in, yeah, there you go.
Okay,
All right, that's clear.
Mr.
Go ahead.
I thought we also discussed the fact that the next line should read the commission policy as to, since it's not the
Yes.
department's policy.
All right, so you have that as a possibility, maybe in,
By the way, I also had the same note that Mr. Cavan had indicated about that whole section there, based upon, I thought, was what the Dag Stockton told us about interfering with the hiring processes of the state.
well, but that's why we put in the wording before about in accordance with state law.
No, you discussed that, but I thought we,
We didn't vote on anything yet. So.
right, I know.
Okay, but let's clarify that point since we're talking about it. As far as law goes, either way, how are we, Mr. Stockton? I mean,
Well, again, in accordance with state law, the procedure is, I think the director has to generate, what is it, an NPD 31? That has to go to the state personnel or state personnel department. I think it has to be heard by the
Board of
personnel commission and the board of examiners. So it's a long drawn out process. And so, you know,
if we added a should in there, as in should be governed by, because we're trying to provide guidance.
you know, if you said that, you know, let me think about that one.
Can I?
All right, we're thinking about paragraph 1. Something else.
Yeah, can I ask you on that? I'm not sure that the shall in that first paragraph should be changed to should. Basically, what we're saying is the policy is that the department shall actively pursue enhancing game populations by setting and reaching game production goals. I don't think it's permissive. I think this policy says that's what we're trying to do.
All right, so maybe we should, then maybe on the first shall, if we can put brackets around something there and say proposed to replace with should. So we got 2 possibilities up there.
Okay.
That ought to do it. All right, something besides item 1. Mr. Cavan, you were in the middle of stuff here.
Yeah, number 3, end of the paragraph. Mule deer harvest should be reduced or eliminated in areas / units where populations are below objective and goals. That was a possible deletion.
No, we eliminated a bunch of words and put in population, objective population goals. That was...
It doesn't show anything changed in that.
Yeah, they removed you put in objective production goals instead, population goals, instead of highest historical highs.
I'm talking about the next sentence now.
Which one you want, sorry?
Number 3, the last sentence.
And what did you say?
Or first paragraph, last sentence.
Just take that whole sentence out.
Take that. Potentially take that sentence
This
out.
here.
She's showing what he's...
So all doe harvest should, you're saying?
That next sentence as well. Those are things that we can do at the commission level when the department brings their recommendations to us. I think it's too confined.
You don't want to confine it too much, you can always not have a policy. I'll just go home. All right, let's flip it. We need to stop it.
Then in number 12,
that's some of my limitations.
I would propose deleting, starting with the second sentence, the total days hunted for species population that the commission determines to be desired to grow should not exceed 60 days in any year. Total yearly season length for deer should be limited to a maximum of 60 days unless the population exhibits a strong growth for a minimum of 3 consecutive years and/or is within 20% of all-time historical numbers. I would strike that entire language.
All right, so proposed delete.
Mr. Chairman, did we already establish that every place where it says production goals should actually be population goals?
Well, I think we went to production goals.
Well, we went to that on purpose?
Yeah, instead of population, what's that?
Instead of the previous language, historical numbers.
Got that wrong.
You can always put them back.
I'd like to know
They are
that,
just
'cause I
stricken.
had marked up one here.
And then there was, oh, and when we're doing this, I put a date on there, tomorrow's date, and actually, that should probably be in the other place, but we'll fix the date on us. Somehow or other I put it in the wrong spot though when we were playing with that. The 14th of May.
That's right.
But it says this blank day of May.
Chairman?
14th, yes.
The one we just passed before the Hage thing?
Yeah.
You put the date in there, huh? That's done already?
I'm assuming we're putting the date in on that one. Dates shouldn't require a motion to fix a date.
I think it left the blank anyway.
I think we did leave blank. But as long as the date of approval is put in there, we should be good, according to council.
Oh, here it is. Yeah. Yeah, we had circled that.
Can be 14th, the TH, just since that's gonna be the final deal.
Yeah, all the formatting and the dates
I think I maybe did a little more than you did.
will be fixed.
You'll fix, okay.
So,
Just we're nitpicking, might as well knit the sweater. All right. other than wholesale striking of entire documents or any other, I mean, that's always an option. But,
I'll make that motion.
sorry, no motions. No motions can be made at this time, sir. Will not entertain any illegal motions. Okay. A little levity is wonderful. All right.
What do you want?
Moving on. Next item. We done? We did. We had that. We had that. And let's move on. The next one. Another next informational item that we did take public comment on yesterday, and we did go over, and that was the horse issue. And I need to keep my copy of this in the right spot. Put it up there. Horse issue is stapled on the back of this. Thank you. Keep me straight, sir. '27. Conduct a second reading of the new proposed commission policy 67 horse policy. First reading was held May 12th, 2011. On this item, you'll see there was under policy, the shoulds were changed to shalls. Date was added, and that was it. Shalls were changed to shoulds, and date was added, and that was it. And there was also a will was changed to a should. On the first page under policy A. So we had A, C, D, E, F, and G all had either a shall or a will replaced by a should.
Did we get the title cleaned up? Just move that borough over to where.
She'll clean up the title as long as the wording is good on the title. She can clean it up to make it look good.
I didn't hear Mr. Kevin, what's he gonna do with the logo?
You want to add the title, Federal Wild.
I just want to make sure that, I'm sorry, I didn't get the new copy.
Federal horses and burros.
We're talking about Yolanda the logo.
It's fine in this one.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we don't need wild. I think we're good. Because that way it is more inclusive, no matter what they call them. Federal.
Wild is good, just not feral.
If they're just federal horses, that includes feral, yeah, anything that's feral.
Feral horses are under
Feral
state.
horse.
Anything that's not feral, yeah.
It's federal.
Federal government.
Chairman Raine,
Yes.
I wonder, that shouldn't complicate anything, but a feral horse is an unbred horse.
Do you have any specific language changes you'd like to see on this policy?
I thought we went over that the other day, that for some reason, anytime they have a horse gathered, the brand inspector comes and gives them an inspection of those horses and gives them title to them with that inspection.
Understood. Feral horses in the common language is different than feral horses under state law. The feral only applies to horses as legal matter. The horses that are, you know this better than I do, but under state law, the horses that have been previously domesticated and escaped that aren't included in the wild and free roaming burros are under state control. And feral horses under the statute are horses that have been, like, I can't remember the exact language, I could look it up, but those that have been owned by somebody but don't show any signs of domestication. And then you have stray horses, which are horses that are running wild but they show signs of domestication. Not domestication, but something like, signs that somebody has trained them or something.
Mr. Stockman, I don't know if we need to split that hair or not. I think everybody knows what we have.
Okay.
But I do know that not one horse gets in a truck once they get in the trap to go anywhere, whether it's a holding area or to Palomino Valley or to one of Oklahoma. They are brand inspected by the state of Nevada, and in fact, it supplements the income for the entire Department of Agriculture. And if it wasn't required somehow, some splitting of that line, they do it. And they get legal title to them upon that. So, you know, I mean, that's to be argued in this by the big guys, I guess. But that's what they do. That is their procedure. That's all I'm trying to, hopefully.
I understand that, but what we're talking about is why we're calling them wild horses versus feral horses, right?
Breaks my heart. None of them are wild, they're feral.
Okay, we reviewed these changes. There's always, of course, option to strike the whole works or something like that, but other than things like that, is there any options, specific language options one would like to see for tomorrow? Going once, twice, okay. Let's move, seeing none, we will conclude the second reading and move on to item number 28. Might get dinner before midnight yet. Commission policy number 10, wildlife heritage tags and vendors, final reading. Commission may take action to adopt policy number 10 with changes from the first and second readings held by the Commission on April 16th and May 12th, 2011.
Do you want me to work on my language there?
Yes.
We will have a couple-minute break while Brian is
No, I'm good.
taking care of stuff. Oh,
For the
no?
record, Brian Stockton, Senior Deputy Attorney General.
Okay.
Yesterday, when, let's see, where's the rest of it?
Oh, he's on top. He's got it there already.
All right, so these are the two options that were initially suggested for the commission yesterday for this number 5. As we all know, this is to address the problem of heritage tags being resold, since it is such a scarce and you know, controlled resource. We don't want anybody to sell these tags for private profit, which I think would give us all a black eye. So you asked me to come up with some language. I did some brainstorming last night and this morning, and this is the language that I've come up with so far, just as all suggestions. Sorry. And yeah, if I take out these extra line breaks, it'll all go on there too. At least on my computer.
Remember, Brian gives advice to us. We don't go the other way around.
Mr. Stockton,
Yes,
can I ask you a question about enforcement?
yes.
Let's say that Charlie gets that
We don't get
and he sells it to me. Are we allowed to put in the penalty?
No.
That would be, is there a penalty for that? Is that something we would have to address in the future?
You know, the penalty for something like that, it would be up to the prosecutor, whoever prosecuted the case, right? So if, let's say somebody bought a heritage tag and sold it for a personal profit, the DA or whoever looks at the statute and says, you know, this is wrong, it'd be basically, I don't know what the crime would be, or...
But if you've got somebody who's a non-hunting judge, says, well, you owe us $1.298, I'd like to see somebody's driver's license taken away, his pickup, his gun, or something with meat in it.
No, that would have to come from the legislature.
Come on.
Sorry. Okay, so my idea here was that when the bidding's done, you either have a buyer or his agent present at